A hotly debated pesticide given the green light in the Green Mountains, and another is on the table.
State officials following the footsteps of federal pesticide approvals. Our Sophia Thomas joins us live in South Burlington to break down the local impact. Sophia.
Well, listen, John, in November, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency approved 2 new pesticides, isocycloserum and cyclobutyflorum. Now, this caused a big stir as some environmental experts claim that these pesticides are PFAS, or forever chemicals, persistent in the environment and linked to health concerns. And the EPA pushes back on those claims. Now, this whole debate boils down to the chemical's molecular structure. Stick with me here. Both pesticides are single fluorinated compounds. The EPA defines PFAS as chemicals containing 2 or more fluorinated carbons. Meanwhile, some experts say single fluorinated compounds are PFAS. So I asked a state pesticide expert which definition Vermont operates by. He agrees with the EPA.
Products have been through the toxicological environmental fate analysis that EPA does. They meet the criteria for registration, so therefore we're registered. Whether they'll be used or not, that's another story.
The Vermont Agency of Agriculture approved isocycloserum in December. It's currently reviewing cyclobutyflorum. The official I spoke with says he anticipates that being approved, but whether Vermont farmers will use them or not remains to be seen. Live in South Burlington, Sophia Thomas, Channel 3 This Morning.